Naledi, not even an inch close. Technically, again, the council sitting started and more drama followed. Two Action SA councillors have officially been fired. That is actually the news that we received as of course, special council sitting started. And their names are Mpho Baloyi and Mandla Mhlana. They have officially been given marching orders, but it gets worse. COPE also filled their position. You would, of course, remember that Dr. Morunwa Makwarela resigned as a COPE PR councillor. The party today replaced him with Thabang Sifanyetso. But we have a few minutes just after he was officially announced in council, we then learned that there is a lot of controversy around this particular individual. Statements making the rounds that he allegedly has two ID numbers and he has a pending criminal matter that is still being dealt with. So again, they're just after COPE filled this particular individual. We received the news that he might be removed perhaps before this day even ends. So we're on a break now. Some of course, the political parties are having a quick caucus engagement, but you would understand there has been a whole lot of outstanding matters about the issue around Dr. Morunwa Makwarela's fake rehabilitation certificate and basically just how he defrauded the City of Tshwane. Selby Bukaba is the City of Tshwane spokesperson. He's just going to update us as to what is the latest when it comes to the City of Tshwane's actions and plans regarding the whole issue around Dr. Makwarela. Thank you so much, Mr. Bukaba, for joining us. What's the latest? We understand there has been developments.
Yes, I can confirm that we have requested the Hawks to carry out a comprehensive investigation into the conduct of Dr. Makwarela. It appears that Dr. Makwarela was ineligible to become a member of the Tshwane Metropolitan Municipal Council, meaning a councillor, and as such, he should not have served as the Speaker of Council and also as the Executive Mayor. So the Hawks are looking into possible commission of fraud into that. The second issue relates to the court order, which he presented to the city manager last Thursday, which purported to be a rehabilitation certificate, which appears to be forged. So those are basically the two areas which we have requested the Hawks to look into. The issue of him, in our view, remaining an unrehabilitated insolvent, as well as the issue of the forged court order or insolvency certificate or notice.
Last time we spoke, that was last week, the city also indicated that you might ask for your monies back, the monies that he earned as speaker. Has there been any development around that particular issue that he might just have to reimburse the city? Have you made connections with him? Have you spoken to him? Has there been any meeting or engagement of some sort with the former mayor?
No, the matter is with the police, and that will form part of the broader investigation. Remember, I'm saying that it appears that he was an unrehabilitated insolvent. So if that is the case, then he shouldn't have been a councillor to start with, nor a speaker or an executive mayor. So there could be issues of commission of fraud. So the Hawks are looking into all those issues that we have forwarded to them. We have given them all the necessary information and documents and evidentiary material. So the matter is in their hands. They will determine the way forward.
Let's get to the City of Tshwane today. Two big events that are taking place. The ANC is marching. Inside, the councillors have to vote in a new leader. Do you have all your ducks in a row to make sure that you manage all these two events, both these two events properly?
I think the two events are manageable. Council is going to get underway. It should have started at 10, but one of the parties requested an adjournment. And yes, there will be a march, and there will be an official from the city who's going to meet the protesters to receive a memorandum.
Thank you so much. We leave it at there with, of course, Selby Bukaba, who is the spokesperson for the City of Tshwane. But Naledi, as I say, the developments inside council is really disturbing, in particular if you think about what happened with the whole Dr. Moruna Makwarela scandal. And now that we thought that there is a way forward with the COPE person that, of course, had to fill that particular vacancy. We now hear that there might be more discrepancies even about this particular individual and the party not being happy. It seems like there is division inside of COPE. Some, of course, supported Thabang, and others are saying, but his record is not clean. He cannot afford to, of course, be another embarrassment for COPE inside of the Tshwane Council. Then there's the Action SA matters that are also playing out, and that influences the numbers. One can only, wonder whether they are going to replace those two PR councillors that have been fired, and that brings the number to 3 Action SA councillors that have been fired just this week, basically in a space of 5 days. They are 3 men and women down inside of the Tshwane Council. And of course, if they don't replace these individuals by today, that perhaps would be to the benefit of the EFF and ANC slate. So it remains interesting to see how exactly these numbers will play out and how exactly the political parties will navigate around the developments that are playing out.
Right.
Just a reminder about the candidates that we have heard that might be nominated. Of course, multi-party coalition, that is Celia Brink. And we've heard from the EFF ANC side. There you've got Mulwantwa Tabati to be the candidate for them. But of course, there still is no certainty whether they will nominate him. We've heard that not everyone there is for him, so it remains to be seen whether the PAC candidate will be fielded as the mayoral candidate.
Well, Patricia, I think before I let you go, I think this is quite an important one, where you've got now just the second member of the Congress of the People of COPE in Tshwane having issues around legitimacy and whether or not they should be in council to begin with. So when we're talking about this particular council member and the allegations that that he has 2 ID numbers and has a criminal case that is still pending, how did these issues come to the fore? Because we know that with Moruna Makwarela, it certainly took some time for some of those issues around his insolvency rehabilitation to come to the fore. How did we find out about these alleged 2 ID numbers and criminal case?
Well, Naledi, you would remember last week after that big fallout, the embarrassment around Dr. Moruna Makwarela's so-called fake insolvency clearance certificate, COPE came out very strongly, the national leadership that was here at Tshwane addressing the media, and they were saying that from now on they have no other choice but to leave no stone unturned. They will make sure that they go the extra mile to look into the statuses, the characters, the pasts of all their members, in particular those who they will be giving, public office positions. And they said that they will intensify their vetting processes. So one can just assume that that's possibly what they did here. They did a thorough background check and they found this information. But it is unfortunate that by the time it reached the media, the announcement of of this particular individual was already made in council, and his name was already put through to the IEC. And we ask the question, why did they not do the necessary interrogations, background checks before they put forward this person's name to the IEC, before they officially announced him in council today? But of course, we will try and get the right information from COPE. As I said, we have learned that there are fights inside the party. There are two camps, and these two camps are obviously causing a lot of trouble, it seems, as they also creating chaos in the Tshwane Council. You'd understand, earlier this week we learned from the EFF and the ANC that they were still willing to work with COPE. They were actually hoping that COPE can give forward a credible candidate, and hopefully that candidate could have been the mayoral nominee for the EFF and the ANC bloc. But this morning, before I even arrived here, somebody already warned me that the COPE character might just not be above the law, and that is why the ANC and the EFF played very far from him. And of course, now we have learned what exactly it is about. So really interesting, but at the same time disturbing. We heard one of the civil society members that are here today observing what is happening, saying that the Tshwane Council seems to be filled with a lot of criminals. Of course, not me saying it, somebody just making remarks saying that this is extremely concerning. It is time that they actually do a background check on each individual that is occupying a position in the Tshwane Council.